Welcome to The Princess Who Preaches, where we embrace the will of the King and discover our true royal identity in Christ. I'm Ariel, and I'm so glad you're here. Together, we'll explore stories, teachings, and conversations that inspire you to live with purpose and faith. I'm excited for today's journey. Let's dive in. So if we take a look at James 2, verse 19, it says, "You believe that God is one. Good. Even the demons believe, and they shudder." Now, I know that there is context when it comes to that scripture, and it also talks about faith and works and the fruit of that. But what I find absolutely interesting is that demons believe. They know God to be true. They know that He is who He says He is. They know it. They are afraid of Him. To shudder means you're afraid of somebody. And yet, they are still adamant on doing the things that is disrespectful, dishonorable to the Lord in His face, in His presence. And if I could sum up this particular relationship with the Bible study teacher, it was very much so that it is very possible for a person to believe that God is real, that God is who He says He is, but they don't show the fruit of that. They don't show the action of their belief. They don't have demonstration of what they actually believe. And when we last left off, I was talking about my mother, and my mother, thank God, she saw things that I was not able to see. I wasn't able to pick up and recognize. And at the time, I really felt like I knew what was best. That she couldn't tell me anything. And I hated her. I had hatred for her, something serious. That a lot of things that happened, that positions or situations that we were put in, I felt like was her fault, and she didn't, protect me the way that I thought she should have protected me. And relationships and dealing with men was one of those things. But my mother was very, very adamant on, I don't like this dude. I don't like him. Something fishy. Something ain't right. And I don't like him. And I can count a handful of times that my mother from the very beginning has said, I don't like this person. And I'm going to tell you why. And she was absolutely right. But because I had so much hatred, my heart was hard. And it was hard for me to see that the Lord was sending warning, that He was providing grace and mercy to me. Even in those conversations with my mother, I couldn't see it at the time. And if I would have listened, I probably would not have gone through a lot of the things that I went through because I paid attention to the warning. So we decide that, okay, we're going to make it official when I turn 18. Now, I realize that there are some very significant things when it comes to my birthday. My birthday was in February 7th. And for some reason, there was something very significant. There were things that happened on my birthday I'm going to talk about a little later. So I talked to my mom, and she asked, like, okay, so what do you want to do for your birthday? Like, how do you want to celebrate? And I tell her, well, I want the Bible study teacher to come to Memphis. He had like this whole itinerary set. I was going to show him Memphis. I was really proud of my city. And I absolutely loved Jill Scott. And one of the things that we did talk about was our love for music and the variety of music. And we found out that Jill Scott was actually coming to Memphis that year. And he maxed out his credit card and he got me Jill Scott tickets, and we were planning on going to the concert together. So my mother was like, all right, fine, he can come, but I need you to watch yourself and, conduct yourself as a lady. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So he comes, and we had a great time. The first day or 2 days, he stayed in a hotel And I tell y'all, the grace of God kept me. Sometimes being naive is a grace. Being naive is a grace. So we go to his hotel, and what he was planning on, what his intentions was not what I was on. I wasn't on what he was on. I was happy that he was there. And he's like, okay, well, you want to make yourself comfortable. I'm, gonna get in the shower. Do you want to join? And I'm like, no, because I'm uncomfortable with that. So things still happen in other ways. We were intimate, and I ended up going back home. And the next day, I believe he didn't have either it was that trip or the second trip, because he came down twice. One of those trips, he ended up staying in our apartment. I want to say it was the second trip because I was getting ready to graduate, but he was staying in my room, and I was supposed to stay in my mother's room. And she would tell me, when you get sleepy, you need to get up and you need to come in my room, because I don't want y'all sleeping together. What did y'all think I did? I would stay in his room, and we would stay up all night talking. We never did anything under my mother's roof, but I would sleep next to him. And then, like, when it got really, really early, like maybe 3, 4, 5 o'clock, I would try to ease and either sneak in her room or like lay on the couch and make it seem like I was sleeping on the couch the whole time. But one thing you have to know about my mama wakes up. She is up when Jesus is up. So at 3 o'clock, that lady was up, and she already knew that, I had slept in the same room as him. So I'm at school, and at this point, it's 12th grade, and I am in the final stages of getting ready to graduate. And so from this point, we are in a full-blown relationship. We are enjoying each other's company, all the things. And it was time for prom. And I was very excited about prom. I had dreamt about going to prom, like dressing up like a princess, just all the things. And at the time, he was game for, okay, I'm going to come down there and I'm going to be your date for prom. Now, his sister and I are the same age. And apparently she teased him about being my prom date, and he got insecure, and he was like, I'm not going to do it. I hope you have a good time. On which I also think that was a grace from God, because I do believe that if he would have came during that prom season, I probably would have gotten pregnant. I wholeheartedly believe that. I was so gung-ho at that point. Everything that he said, I believed. Everything that my mother said, I didn't believe. I thought she was just straight up lying. She didn't know what she was talking about. And so I really believe that God showed me a kindness in not allowing him to come during that time. So fast forward, he does come down for graduation. And while I'm at school, my mother overhears a conversation that he's having, and he was talking to his mother, and the conversation sounded off because he was telling her that he was in class, or that he was walking to the administration's office, but yeah, you laying in my bed, you here in Memphis. So how was it possible that you are on college campus? And my mother, the way that she is, after he got off the phone, she waited until he got done, and she went in the room and she said, does your mama know that you here? And he lied to her, and he told her, well, yeah, she knows that I'm here. Well, because I heard your conversation, and you told her that you were waiting on administration. You were on the way to the administration's office. So does she really know that you're here? Yeah, she know. So my mom's like, okay. So I get out of school, and she picks me up, and she tells me, what happened. And you would think, okay, I believe my mother. I did not believe her. I thought that she was lying, and she did not want me to live happily ever after. She was trying to ruin my life. You're ruining my life. She was just trying to do all the things to hold me back and hinder me. And I had this, I guess you could say it was escapism. I had this dream in my head that once I graduated and I got to college, I was never coming back. I was gone and I was going to stay gone. So I graduate. I have my graduation ceremony. Everything goes well, but the relationship between he and I started to shift. It felt awkward. It felt he was very angry. There was like this soft brewing of anger that started to happen, and what I noticed from the first time that he came to visit was so loving. But this time he was very cold and distant, and I didn't get why he was, being this way. So we ended up, okay, my mom was like, well, you can go out and enjoy yourself. You graduated, it's great. And so we ended up, I think we ended up going out to eat or something like that. And he wanted to do what he wanted to do. He wanted to be physical. And I still was not comfortable with going all the way, but there was still things that was going on that we engaged in. And the environment, like, he was so different. He was not loving, he wasn't kind, he wasn't patient, he wasn't any of those things. He literally looked like a dog in heat. And when he could not get his way, I saw the shift. So he goes back to where he was living at the time, and it's the summertime. So right before I go off to college, I ended up going to Austin P State University, and he calls me on the phone. I'm thinking it's a normal conversation, and he tells me that he wants to break up. And I am so naive that I'm not perceiving that he's trying to break up with me. He also was into like poetry, so he had a way with words and how to say things. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, maybe he's saying like we can just take a break, and then when I go off to college, like we gonna pick it up where we left off. No, he was trying to break up with me. And was like, you go sail out into the sun, enjoy yourself. And I'm just like, but we can work it out. We can work it out. I was really trying not to fail at this thing that I developed, that I cultivated. I did not want to lose our relationship. So after that, he hangs up, and I am so desperate trying to get his attention that I even tried to reach out to like his best friend. Like, I don't understand what's going on. And the best friend gave me some very wise words of wisdom that, again, I was not privy to, I was not perceptive about. So I go off to college, and I'm like, my heart is torn. I'm finally able to leave Memphis, and I'm finally able to escape all of the trauma that I experienced there. And one of the things that actually happened, my mother was married, and she was in a domestic violence marriage. And her ex-husband, I didn't know a lot of things was happening and going on at the time, but she was trying to shield and protect me and my sister from things. And there was a situation that happened. I believe I was 16 at the time. And I may have talked about it, but just to recap. I was 16 at the time, and my mother's ex-husband was cheating. And the funny thing was, the woman that he was cheating with was a whole witch. I can't make this stuff up. I cannot make this stuff up. She was a whole witch out here in these streets, like with books and all the good stuff. So as they're having a conversation, me and my sister, we were actually getting ready to go out of town for spring break. And I hear my mom and her ex-husband, like they're arguing, and it literally, it blew up and turned into this massive fight outside in our front yard. And that situation was so traumatic for me and my sister that it was something that we all had to get therapy for. We had to go to counseling for. I didn't have any language for how to express like how I was feeling, what I was going through. I also was trying to protect my mom. So I went to go get a knife and I was going to shank this man if that's what I had to do. So like literally I was trying to escape all of the trauma surrounding that and family and all the things. So at this point now I'm just happy that I am in school and I can start my own life, or so I think. I am an adult and I'm wise, and now I know how to make better decisions than my mother because I still had hatred in my heart for her at this point. So I'm like, I'm going to do better than her and I'm going to show her and she's going to see. So I get situated. My roommate and I, we were able to connect. I was so excited, found out that we were both believers. I think we were both green, but we were just happy to be here. And I get acclimated to like class and I start, meeting people and developing friendships. And eventually I joined the, what is it called? It was called the Voices of Praise because I love to sing and I love music. So I joined the choir and I meet some amazing people in the choir. I create new friendships. And so one night there was like this concert that was going on, and I cannot remember who the artist was, but there was a concert. It might have been Kiera shit. I don't remember, but it was an artist that I enjoyed. So I was like, yes, I want to go. And it was a big thing because the school, everybody was going. So I ended up going to the concert, and as I'm going, there were some people that was a part of the choir that I hadn't really met yet. And there was this guy that I thought that he was so handsome. Oh my goodness. I really thought that he was handsome. But in my mind, I had, low self-esteem. I didn't think that anybody would actually want to give me attention or like the time of day that anybody would be interested in me. So I was like, oh my gosh, he's fine, but he probably wouldn't go for somebody like me. So I dismissed it. So we're getting ready to leave, like the concert is wrapping up. And so this gentleman walks beside me and starts to strike up a conversation. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this dude is talking. Is he talking to me? So I'm replaying this in my head. And he was like, well, we should hang out sometime. And I'm like, cool, I would enjoy that. Great. So we go to dinner. Everybody, the group goes to dinner. And I'm having conversations with some of my friends. And yet again, there's that ding, ding, ding. The warning. One of my friends was like, you really need to be careful. I wouldn't mess with him if I was you. But they did not go into detail as to like really what was going on. So I was like, again, I'm going to see for myself. So it's okay. So he asked me out on a date, and I'm getting dressed up. Like my lady friends is helping me with makeup and all of that stuff. And for the first time, like I felt so beautiful and like confident. Oh my goodness. I was so excited. And it was another young man that was actually interested in me for what I thought was for me. So we go to dinner and we had a really great time. Again, the conversation went well. We both love music. So again, that was a thing. We talked about the varieties of music that we enjoyed, that we loved. We talked about the Lord. We talked about all the things. And I found out that he was in the process of becoming a youth minister. So I was like, oh my goodness, that's right up my alley. I love the youth. So the conversation goes well, the day ends, and he walks me back to my dorm and asks like, can we make this official? Like, can you be my girlfriend? Now thinking about it, at the time, it was too fast. It was too fast. But again, my head is in the clouds and I am so excited. I got a boyfriend. I got a new boyfriend, and the old Bible study teacher, now he gonna have to eat his words. Because I know now, that I got somebody new and he can't tell me nothing. So I'm just feeling myself. So as time goes on, we're still in the voice choir together. He is still trying to get prepared for like what was it? He was trying to get prepared for his ministerial license, and during this time, we got closer because we started talking about like our trauma and things that we went through, recently and as a kid. And one of the things that he told me was how he was abused as a teenager. And so we talked about like the stigma with that, of how young black men are abused as kids, and it's something that is not talked about and is not discussed. And there is a low level of support for men who has been through abuse like that. So I can relate. And then he proceeds to tell me about a situation where he was abused, and it was some other things that was going on. And me, I'm sympathetic. I'm like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe you went through that, and I can relate to that. So not only do I feel seen, now I feel heard because he's listening to me. And for the first time, there's somebody that was in my life that made me feel heard, not just seen but heard, and that meant everything to me. So time goes on. We're talking on the phone. We're going out. We're spending time together. And he was like, "Hey, let's, you want to go out on a date?" So we plan our next date, and we go out on the date, and we get ready to. He drops me back off in my dorm, and he walks me to my dorm, and he starts to want to make out. And at the time, I'm like, I'm comfortable with like kissing and like holding, but that's probably as far as it goes. Like, I'm not comfortable with having sex. I'm not comfortable with that. And I was so big on purity. I wanted to wait until I got married. Like, I was one of those, like, I really wanted to save myself. If anything, I was really devoted about that. Like, God, I want you to be pleased with my life, and I want you to be pleased with the fact that I was pure. On the flip side of that, I also was like, well, God, if I can keep my virginity, then you're going to love me. You're going to be pleased with me if I keep this. If I don't do the thing that is wrong or that is a sin, then you're going to love me. So as we're making out, my roommate is actually in the bed. So the way that our room was, it was like one big room, and then we had like our bookshelves that kind of was like our divider. And I'm thinking she may have been asleep, she may not have been asleep, or just like trying to pretend to be asleep, because again, it was uncomfortable for her too if she was awake. So we're making out, and he wants to take it further, and I'm saying no, like I don't want to do that. I'm not comfortable with that. And he did not listen. So he forced himself on me, and I'm continuously saying, no, stop. And he did not listen. He's trying to coax me into like, like just, go with the flow. Like, and my body froze. I am in shock. And I can't believe that this is happening to me. This is happening to me. I can't believe it. As I freeze and I literally stop moving. And eventually he gets up, he pulls his clothes up, and he gets upset, and he's like, well, I'll call you tomorrow. And he slammed our door. And the way that the door is positioned, the walls is concrete, so he slammed it so hard that it ricocheted off of itself and it slammed into the wall. And it was so loud, I know my roommate heard it, but she was trying to pretend to be asleep. So that was an amount of trauma that I am having an outer body experience, but also my roommate is on the other side of this room, and I'm sure she's hearing what's happening, and literally nobody is saying like, hey, this is not cool, except for myself, but he didn't listen. So after that situation, my relationship with my roommate, it pretty much dissipated after that because I didn't explain to her what happened. It took me a long time to explain to anybody what happened that night. And I did not go to the police. I didn't do any of that. I literally shut down, and I either slept all the time or I went to like the cafeteria and I ate. And you would think like, okay, after this you can just, break off the relationship. I did not break off the relationship. So it was still a little awkward, but like we were trying to pretend like everything was fine. And we were still having conversations, but at this point I feel like I'm a zombie. Like I am in my body, but I am outside of myself. I was not going to class anymore. I literally just I completely shut down. And at this point, now he's having conversation. Now he wants to take it further. He's pressing that. Like he wants to take things to the next level. And instead of doing it the way that he did before, now he wants to make it beautiful and grand and all of these things. And I remember having a conversation with the associate at the time, and she was asking me like, do you love him? And I was like, well, no, I don't love him, but he already took it. So since he took it, I just feel like I'll just give it to him because he took it from me already. I remember saying those words. So he sets up the hotel. And when we get to the hotel, we're having a conversation. And in that conversation, he made me feel like I was gum at the bottom of his shoe. And the way that he did it, because he was great with words. He had a strong presence. He made me feel like you need to care about yourself more. You need to care about like how you look. You need to care about like your hygiene, because you can't be stepping outside with me and you can't be looking no any kind of way, but I love you though. And again, I'm still trying to figure out like, how do I get out of here? I don't know how to get out of this. And I feel so embarrassed and ashamed that I let God down. I felt like God just completely walked away from me. So I guess this is my punishment. This is the life that I have to live now. So at that point, we start becoming intimate more and more, and eventually I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, the morning that I found out I was pregnant, I took a pregnancy test because I felt like my body felt weird, and I let him know like, hey, I'm pregnant, and he is excited. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, oh crap, I'm trapped. And now I'm really stuck and I can't get out of this relationship. What I can say of when the night that the assault happened, it literally felt like my voice was stripped from me. So I had no power or authority to say like, I don't want to continue this and I don't want to do this, and this is what you did to me and I'm going to take it to the authorities. I had no knowledge of that, no power, no to be able to stand up for myself in that way. And I was so ashamed. I had so much shame and so much guilt because I did not speak up for myself. So I'm pregnant, and we start going to the doctor for routine checkups, and I make it to my 5th month. I'm pregnant, and at this time I'm not really talking to my mother. We're not talking. She's still married, so there's still situations that she's dealing with, so we're checked out. And I felt like I couldn't talk to her anyway because when I got pregnant, it was around the same time that she was pregnant with me. And one of the biggest things that I beat myself up for was the fact that I am going to break this chain. Like, I am not going to be a teen mom. I'm not going to go to college and get pregnant during my first semester, and that's exactly what happened. So I had to eat those words. So I ended up confiding in my best friend's mom and my aunt, and I'm telling them kind of the fact that I'm pregnant. I still am not telling anybody what happened to me, what led up to this point. So everybody just thinks that I got pregnant in college, but nobody knows really how it got to that point. So my mother is upset because everybody else knows, and why didn't you tell me? And I still don't have the language to be able to tell her, like, Mom, I was assaulted. I was I was verbally abused, and I gave up. Like, I literally went into flight mode, and I couldn't function anymore. So I just let him do whatever he wanted to do, and I just kind of coasted along with it. I had no more fight in me. So we go to the doctor for a routine checkup, and the nurse is doing the sonogram. And as she's doing the sonogram, literally, this is what she tells me: "Oh, it looks like the baby exploded in your stomach." And I turn and I look at her and I'm like, "What?" And so she, gets me together and kind of tells me, like, okay, so these are like your next steps, and shoot us out the door. And during that appointment, his sister actually went with us, and she was such a godsend, because at the time I couldn't function. I was crying. I was in shock. I was hurt. I was like, God, like, this is my punishment. Like, I don't deserve to have joy. I don't deserve any of it. And she poured so much life into me that day and encouraged me, and she prayed for me, and she also gave me a warning about her brother, and she told me, take this as a sign that this is God's way of getting you out. She was like, go back home, regroup, like, and try again. Live your life for yourself. And I was grateful for that conversation because I needed it. So after that, I wasn't going to class, so I was on academic probation. So I was suspended for a semester. I believe it was for a semester or a year. So I didn't finish that. And my mom comes back and she picks me up, and she was like, well, we're going to seek a second opinion. And so we go to another doctor, and this doctor, he was so kind and he was so gentle with how he explained to me what happened. And he was like, you're too far along for the baby to pass through. So we're going to have to do a DNC. And so I had the surgery. And at this point, I am I was introduced to porn through the Bible study teacher. And at this point now I'm using it to try to cope. So dealing with porn and masturbation, I'm trying to use these things to cope, because at least if I can do this, I can feel something. And I didn't read the pamphlet that I was given about, like, how to take care of yourself. And so that night I was trying to cope, and I ended up having like a small stroke, or a simple stroke, that affected the right side of my brain. So even to this day, like, when I smile, this side of my face, it slumps down. Like, I can't fully smile from that. And the way that my brain functions from that point on was different. It was completely different. And it was like another thing. Let me just add that to my list of, like, shame and guilt. Like, God, I know you're disgusted with me. There's no way that you can love me like this. I don't believe that you can love me like this. And instead of coming to him and, like, giving it all to him, I tried to take it on myself, and let me try to put myself together. So my mother, of course, my family knows what has happened. And my aunt, she was like, well, why don't you come down, to visit? And I'm like, okay, I don't have anything else going on right now, so I'll just come and visit. And when I go to visit, I'll share in the next episode what happens. Thank you for joining me today on The Princess Who Preaches. I hope you feel inspired to proclaim, advocate, and teach His will honestly in your life. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and connect with us on all social media handles labeled The Princess Who Preaches. Take care and walk in your royal purpose, and see you next time.